Today we're talking about barriers to entry. So in this economy of unlimited access to as much music as anyone can want, in this economy of the democratization of the recording process, of the creative process, anyone can record whatever they want in their home studio, put it out for very cheap. You put it on SoundCloud for nothing, and you can distribute it yourself, and if it catches fire, there's so many people that have found success today in these ways. But unfortunately, the jazz industry is a little bit behind, and there's still barriers to entry when it comes to certain aspects of the industry. Now, you can say that it doesn't matter and that you're not going to participate, and sometimes I feel that way, and I say that I'm not going to participate in that. I don't care. But in other times, when you want to reach certain people or you want to create certain opportunities, that we do have to play the game if we want to be recognized, if we want to be seen as serious about what we're doing. In particular, that can come in a couple of forms in terms of investment in yourself when you make a project. So you put all the money into the musicians, the studio, the mix, the master, and then you end up with not wanting to print CDs because nobody buys CDs, nobody has a CD player, duh. However, certain people just view it as a barrier to entries. Those certain people might be writers, reviewers. They prefer to have a physical thing to be like, oh yeah, I want to review this, I want to read the liner notes, I want to see who's on it. There are collectors, obviously, that likes to have CDs still. But in terms of industry people, the radio is a huge one. And I tell people this all the time. People say nobody listens to the radio. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not true. But I think that the main point of sending out a radio campaign isn't only to get radio play, it's to be known to the people in communities who care about what we do. And what I mean is this: the people that work at the jazz radio station are probably also the most active in the community in which they work and where they live and where that station is. So in terms of all these little stations around the United States, getting to be known by those people that work at that station, all of a sudden when you go into that town, you have an ally. They've heard your music, they like your music. And if you hire a publicist or a radio promoter to send that to them, they know, one, you're serious about your career, and either someone is invested in you or you're investing in yourself to be able to get that music to them, for it to appear on their desk and look professional. That lets them know you're taking yourself seriously and you're taking your art seriously. And I really think that this is true, regardless of what you think about how many people listen to the radio. Then from there, if you can get onto the Jazz Week charts, the radio charts, all of a sudden your name is sitting up there alongside all of the biggest names in jazz. And for people that don't necessarily follow as closely as we do, as we are in the industry, they'll see somebody's name like Wynton Marsalis or Kenny Barron or Dave Holland, like big jazz names, and then your name might be somewhere right in the vicinity, and that leads to credibility. And over time, whether or not our fellow musicians, think it leads to that, it does in the eyes of potential people to work on our teams. All these little tiny crumbs, they add up over the long term of building a career and trying to build into something that is sustainable and has longevity. So those radio stations, they want physical CDs. So that CD then becomes kind of a barrier to entry. And then the same thing with promoters. People want to see that you have something to sell. They want to see that you have a project. And I'm all for not printing CDs, but I think that there is a time to do a full-fledged release, and there's a time to do digital release. And I think it's definitely a time where you have to be releasing more stuff more frequently. And we've talked to a lot of our artists about this, but hopefully you'll be seeing more and more projects come out in rapid succession. And if that's you, we definitely want to talk to you. So hit us up, info@outsidedmusic.com. I hope you'll consider some of these barriers. You'll consider investing in some things that maybe you don't think make sense, but it's because of the long-term build that we're looking for rather than the short-term return in the investment. So you might have 1,000 CDs sitting in your apartment, but you're able to use them to leverage into some future success. And so the last barrier to entry that I want to talk about a little bit is the labels. And obviously we are one, so it's kind of talking about ourselves, but also just kind of talking in general. And it relates directly to this democratization of the creative process that I mentioned a minute ago. Now that there's so much easy access to putting your stuff up there, I think we're about to swing back to the other way, which is where people want curation and people want to know that there's quality based on a community. And so what we're trying to do is build a community. And I think that's what a lot of labels are trying to do. And so what's the benefit of being on a label when you can do everything on your own? Well, it's not financial. It's not because it's cheaper to go with the label. It's probably more expensive to go with the label than doing it on your own. But in the long term, maybe you want to be associated with the other artists that are on that label. You want to be associated with the people that run the label, or maybe you don't want to be associated with those people and you want to be part of a different team or community. You know, you could think about it like that. Like the guys used to be Blue Note or Impulse and Bounce Back and Forth and Columbia, and just kind of everything had its own pros and cons. But you know, so now I think we're at a time where things are going to start to converge again, and the use of labels as communities and as curators is going to change the game into the future. Obviously, we're not there right now, I don't think. We still have a ways to go, and I know we're trying to build up for when that does arrive, and we want to welcome as many people as we can, you know, into our circles so that we can, you know, all grow together and all achieve the success and get the music out into the world that we all want to do. Those are kind of the barriers to entry that I see left out there. I guess one other one that's definitely can be a huge one is people that, you know, having is bookers for festivals and things of that nature. And that one I think is a topic for another video. If you want to hear some more thoughts about being able to get yourself booked on festivals, leave us a comment below and we'll kind of make a whole Create, Connect, Repeat episode about just that. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this has brought you guys a little bit of value. If you want to get in touch with us, outsidedmusic.com or info@outsidedmusic, and you can send us your music if you're trying to release something and need some help, and we'll be happy to help. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back here in just a week.